Welcome to Podcast Marketing Secrets, the place for entrepreneurs, coaches, and CEOs who are looking to grow their business with a podcast, become a key person of influence in their industry, and get their ideal clients to come to them, also known as attraction marketing. My guest today is Nick Barrett. Nick is the founder of CordBrick and an amazing entrepreneur. In today's interview, we'll discuss Nick's process of building his company and the hard work that goes into bringing a product to market. We'll also delve into Nick's recovery journey on how he went from stumbling through life with no purpose to having an awakening that sent him on a journey of self-improvement that keeps him grounded in the stress and challenges of running a company. So welcome to Podcast Marketing Secrets, Nick. Excited to have you on the show.
Great to be here, Al. Thanks for having me.
Right on, right on. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey and how you went from, struggling with life to a driven entrepreneur on the path to success?
Yeah, I'll give you the Cliffs Notes version to start here. So I grew up in DC, Philly suburbs, went to Penn State and graduated and jumped around between a couple jobs. After college, for me, my drinking sort of started to progress year after year. For people in the AA program, they know it's a progressive disease. It gets worse, never better really. And so that was something I experienced and eventually had to stop. And that was 6 years ago. So after I kind of went through all that, I was about 30 years old and decided, what am I going to do now? And through a lot of, self-evaluation and self-searching, internal searching, decided like, okay, I've got this product idea. I fit a lot of the traits of an entrepreneurial type. Let me give this a go. And so actually, this is my first business. I had worked in marketing and property management, but mostly marketing in different jobs before this. But I had never made a product. And this is the third year of CordBrick, and we're about to triple our revenue from last year here in year three, which was, obviously a lot better than year one. Things are going well. We just got our patent this past year, won coolest product at the National Retail Federation's spring show, $10,000 to go along with that title that was voted on by attendees there. And just everywhere I've gone with the product, people have had a great reaction. That was the reaction I initially had when I started selling it at flea markets was, why don't you go on Shark Tank with this? This is an incredible product. Why didn't I think of it? So I've been hearing it in all different types of environments for a couple of years now. And we're starting to grow and eventually here shortly launch new products. And that's kind of where we stand today, looking here closely at holiday season 2023. And, as the product I have makes a great stocking stuffer. So we're in, sort of peak sales mode right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So why don't you tell us a little bit of like, what is the product? What is CordBrick? And how did you get the idea for it?
Yeah. So CordBrick is a pretty simple product that developed because of a problem I had where my phone charger was always falling off the side of my bed. And I thought, why can't I invent a brick, some flexible little brick that I could pop my cord into and just put it on my nightstand, put it on my bed sheet. No matter how long or short the cord is, it'll just kind of travel with the cord. And then I thought, okay, it'd be better if the product I had different sort of side grooves in it that could also, you could wrap the cord around the brick. So in essence, the brick sort of stays with the cord, at home, traveling, wherever you are. And so hence CordBrick. So for anyone that's watching here, I have one here. And so the cord is wrapped around it. I say snap, wrap, trap, release, and it always unwraps, untangled. So it's got different side wrapping and grabbing channels and then top and bottom holding channels. So you can use all the channels for cord holding because it's got a steel weight inside. And then again, top and bottom channels, some good for the watch charger, some good for any other types of chargers. So it really is like a mass market product. Sell it on Amazon for $12, 2 for $19.99. My own website as well, where you can buy 5 for a deal, including free shipping. But you can also actually stand your phone with this thing. So you just flex open the side channels as well. So it becomes a little phone accessory in addition to being kind of a cord management tool. So that's CordBrick in a nutshell.
That's awesome. It's a great idea. So like, it's one thing to like come up with an idea for something, but actually to get a a finished product on the open market and then actually get people's eyeballs onto it, let alone, win awards and things like that. That's not an easy process. And so how did you get the drive for that, basically? And then also, like, how did you get the information, or, to go on the path and the correct, procedure?
Yeah, I think every entrepreneur is way over optimistic about how easy it's going to be to then create their idea out of what their idea actually is. And I think that is universal. I'm pretty sure that if most entrepreneurs realized how difficult it was from beginning to end, and the amount of expenses that go in to developing a product and getting it to market and finding your customers, and everything in between, they might not even attempt it, honestly, because it's so much more challenging than you think it would be. You need 10 times as much money as you think you need, and a bunch of contacts and lots of luck, and then intellectual property oftentimes. And so there's a lot of challenges that you don't really foresee. And for me, being a first-time entrepreneur, I of course didn't know a lot of the challenges, and so I had to fail in a lot of things the first time the hard way, and just sort of accelerate the failing process, and just figuring out how to make this happen. I mean, one reason that for me in particular I decided to launch this product was because I figured it probably wouldn't be that expensive to launch this business. If you look at the product, it's pretty small. It's silicone rubber. There's a little bit of weight in it. We didn't actually think we would really need additional weight at first. We do, to give it the proper amount of friction. So that's been a little bit of a added expense. But also, the quality of material I use is not plastic. Silicone rubber is 10 times the cost of a cheap plastic. So of course, plastic doesn't flex and have grip like silicone rubber. So you really do need it for this product. So but finding the customers and getting to the shows and getting everything that they need, the right packaging and all the right certifications, proof that the product does sell, and then trying the online game as well. Very tricky. Social media gotten very competitive over the last few years. Amazon is exceedingly expensive. I pay over 50% of what I sell the product for just to move the product through Amazon. So there's a lot more challenges, I think, than people would expect. That said, I think that's kind of what gives the entrepreneurial journey the reward that people who do it who feel eventually, and I can certainly attest to this recently, is we sort of cross the bridge of, is this not going to work or is it going to work? I mean, I think now we're at the point where we're pretty certain that we've got something for a period of time anyways, that we can move and we can make a nice return on. So all the money that has been invested so far, my investors are feeling pretty good about the prospects, about getting a good portion, or most, if not all, of that back, and then hopefully growing from there. So that it's welcome news for the holiday season for us.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So along this journey, like you just mentioned, investment. So you did get investors, and how was the process for that?
Yeah, so cash flow is a big problem in almost any startup. I mean, you have upfront development costs with the product, and then you have to travel to a trade show before you make any sales. So you got to buy the trade show space, and you make mistakes along the way. You got to ship out samples before anyone will write about your product, or even test it out, or potentially buy it if they're a larger distributor. So there's a lot of upfront costs associated, and I think cash flow is the biggest problem for any startup. In the news recently, I mean, very large companies who are making millions and billions of dollars a year, are actively raising money still, even at that size. So you always want more money than you have as an entrepreneur. And we did end up going and finding an investor to accelerate the growth, and because otherwise it would just be incremental and too slow and wouldn't pay back fast enough if we didn't do a lot of the activities that we did. And so just essential parts. So I did go out and do a little bit of fundraising. Friends and family, like many people, was the first source of my funding. Of course, I used some of my own money and also all of my sweat equity so far I am the 100% owner of CordBrick LLC as it stands today, though.
Right on. That's awesome. Yep. And it's smart to do that too, because I've been in business since 1987, and like many businesses, they don't want to do that because they don't want to give up any part of their business, all this kind of stuff. They don't understand how you can accelerate the growth, 10, 100-fold, and it's better to have that, than anything,
Right.
in a business.
I would say, as it relates to my product, the biggest threat that I have is knockoffs. And even though I have intellectual property, the problem becomes chasing them down from a legal standpoint. If you're not large enough and have enough money coming in, every time someone tries to knock it off and list it somewhere, first of all, you have to find it. In the meantime, they've made sales that for me, I will never make up, because, for my product, once you have one, you don't really need another one. Or 3 or 5, they last for a long time. That's part of the benefit of the product as it compares to the competition, is its reusability and adaptability. So, maybe you need a few, but you don't need an endless supply. And so, I've got to find them, and then, cease and desist and all that. So you need to get to a certain size to where people choose not even to attempt that. And your market penetration is so broad, in a period of time, or else you're just be an easy sitting target for anybody who's got access to capital and can run 100,000 units and get them dispersed to the distributors they already know from whatever business they're currently operating in, as one example.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So you do have patent on it?
Yes. We actually were just granted a utility patent, which we had design patents accepted in the past. And so it was really great to get this utility patent, which protects the way the product works. And so if you go on Shark Tank, they ask you about your patents, and they say, okay, what kind of patent? And this is always the one they want to hear about, because it's much broader and protects a lot more about the product. So not only can't they copy how it looks exactly, but even if they cosmetically change the look of it, it could still infringe on my design. And I honestly can't think of too many other ways in which they could achieve the same goal, if not for using the same design and look, which I think would infringe. So, we'll see.
Yeah. Awesome. Congratulations on that. That's awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yes. So, so you're mentioning a lot of the, there's a lot of huge benefits, and people can see all the benefits of being an entrepreneur, but you're mentioning a lot of the things that could be hiccups, and be very discouraging. That's one of the reasons why we have this show, is so you could hear both sides and learn that every entrepreneur basically has these struggles and these places where they almost lose everything, and they've gambled everything and all this kind of stuff, and then there's this that hockey stick kind of thing where it just starts to get better quickly, and that seemingly overnight success. So how do you stay motivated through those hiccups?
It's a great question. And I would first say that my experience, if any listener hasn't figured this out, I'll just, say it already. My experience will probably differ from yours or other entrepreneurs who have done this, because, my product and as other businesses and products are, they're just different. So the way in which you achieve your goal is going to vary based on your market, based on your product and your customer, and so many different things. So the challenge is unique for everybody. That said, can you repeat that question? I kind of lost my train of thought there on what you had just asked. Please remind me.
It's basically how you stay motivated through all the hiccups, the ups and downs that happen.
Yeah,
with
of course. Yeah. You have to have that end goal in mind. The exit strategy, if you're not doing everything working towards that is, if you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, I think I would describe most entrepreneurs as visionaries. And so they've got a clear sight in mind of where they can see this brand product going and expanding to. and again, that's going to vary for every entrepreneur, right? For me, I'm going to create a brand line of different, similar type items as CordBrick, and I can talk about some of those and some ideas I've got, and then we're moving towards. But that's our strategy. Our strategy is to have an exit and be acquired. But if your strategy is to go public, right, you've got a different strategy and the brand that you're building and how long it's going to take. So how do I stay motivated? It's by knowing that, seeing as I go along, those incremental things happen. Get the patent, win coolest product, right? And I have to say, sell really well on Amazon over the last holiday season for stocking stuffers, right? It's, I guess if I could boil it down, because, the question actually made me think, but, now that I've been thinking through it here for out loud for the last minute or so, I would say it's sacrificing and being patient enough to wait for those little moments that just come in big spikes all at once, where something happens and kind of it all comes to fruition, all your vision, everything kind of comes together. So that would be my best answer for that.
That's awesome. Yeah. And that speaks to the importance of actually having some end goal and strategy that to actually look forward to, because a lot of people, they just start something because, they don't want to check in 9 to 5 or whatever somewhere else. But there's no strategy behind what they're doing, so having that, a plan of attack and something to strive for is huge.
Yeah, you have to be the right person to do it too. You have to, are you the right, maybe the idea is right, but maybe you're not the right entrepreneur for this business. Most people have success starting businesses and things that they are familiar with. I would say maybe one of the reasons that I've been able to have success with this product is due to my marketing background, because if you look at this product, it's a silicone rubber brick at the end of the day. It's not very, it's not insanely expensive, but, this thing can do a lot. I've got a little instructional card that shows the 8 uses of the product, and a lot of the uses with your phone as well. So I was able to brand and market this product in a way that maybe some other people would not. So in that way, even though I didn't have product development experience, this isn't a very complex product to make. So maybe that wasn't the challenge with this particular product, right? And so are you the right entrepreneur for what needs to be done to solve the problem? Because I think at the end of the day, the reason that anybody thinks of an idea is their own problem that they're experiencing in their own life. They want to be able to solve it, and there's nothing that exists that currently solves it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, the idea behind CordBrick is super awesome. It's like one of those simple but awesome kind of things, which is that's where the revenue can come in, because it's like you said, it's that the idea of coming up with it, and your production costs aren't huge, so you could have a good price point to get it out to the masses. It's really cool, the whole idea and your business. It's super awesome. As far as marketing,
thank you.
With the product, you got the idea for it, and then you decided to start, with the development process and getting prototypes, I guess. Did you start marketing right away, or did you wait till you had a product? How did you go about that process?
Yeah, I think marketing has been, even though I just kind of patted myself on the back about my marketing experience, marketing has been one of the toughest parts. And I think I thought it would be easier than it is. Advertising is difficult, and there's a lot of competition out there. With this product, it is visually, when you demonstrate it, it sells itself. But when you aren't able to demonstrate it, it's a little more difficult. So the packaging and whatnot had a lot that went into designing that, and we did an iteration. It did okay, but now we've sort of upgraded it by quite a lot, I would say, and we're doing a lot better just because of that simple change. And in terms of online marketing, I thought it would be a lot easier to have something like this spread through social media. And frankly, I haven't really cracked the code for myself in terms of the videos that me as a non-video editing professional has been able to make thus far. So that is one thing I think that we, you always want to look for people who are smarter than you, that experts that are more talented than you in any different field. And I think that's something we could really use next year would be a video editor or a bunch of video editors that, as Mr. Wonderful says, make me a 60-second product video that sells my product. That's the most valuable person out there right now. And so we need someone like that. It's hard to do. People's attention is social media, they're just hitting you with ads constantly. So anytime I see an ad, I just swing right by it as fast as I can, as soon as I realize it's an ad, pretty much. So I think a lot of people are that way. And also with COVID, their advertising dollars just moved online in a huge way. So the competition has increased, the cost per click has increased greatly. And I think with my product, it's an impulse buy, it's a low price item. So at $9.99 retail price point. And when you're talking about how much clicks cost, it almost doesn't matter what you're selling. The cost of the click is going to be pretty similar. Not too different. Now, what's going to be different is how much you convert and how much you sell your product for in terms of dollars. So if I'm trying to drive clicks to my website, but my product costs $2,000, I only have to sell a few, and I can drive a tremendous amount of clicks there to make it worth it if the clicks cost the same amount. But if my product, as mine is only $10, even if someone buys 3 of them, that's $30. So I can't spend that much money on clicks to drive people there until it doesn't end up being worth it. And so I think that's the challenge, especially with, even though I personally enjoy things like the Apple update where you could ask certain apps like Facebook and others to not track you and your personal information, then it does make it more difficult for advertisers like myself to target their ads if you would be the perfect customer for us.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and the cost per click, all that kind of stuff can crush a business that if you're not paying attention, that has a lower price point, than the more high ticket kind of stuff. So yeah, you have to be really careful. So yeah. What is your best form of marketing right now? Is it trade shows, or what would it be?
Well, probably Amazon, just because we're doing so well on the marketplace in terms of our reviews and rating and conversion rate, and then also the application of the word stocking stuffer. For my competitors on Amazon, that is one thing that I think definitely sets us apart. Is if you would type in the keyword stocking stuffer, none of them will show up because it's not profitable for them to advertise for that because their products only do one thing. My product does a number of different things. It moves from home to on the go. So it's a cord management system, stays with your cord all the time. And that just makes it more attractive from a gifting standpoint because people can kind of apply it or adapt it to any charging situation or use. If they prefer the wrapping, if they prefer the whole cord holding, if they prefer the phone uses, all the above, they want one for different areas in their house. So, again, my competitors can't really say that. So that on Amazon has really helped us. We're already Amazon's choice for a number of different products. We were accepted into their Launchpad program for free. This is for free. They just realized and recognized our uniqueness in our category as a new product, a small business as well, and have rewarded us in kind. I mean, if you think about it, Amazon as a business wants their customers to find the best product so that they keep shopping there. Sure, they want it to be the most profitable for them, but at the end of the day, customer loyalty, I think, is really paramount for Amazon. And when you have a good product like mine is, CordBrick is, and you look at the competition, not to bash them too much, but that's why I invented the product. So if my opinion wasn't that the competition wasn't that good, then what am I doing here inventing the product? So that has been good. Trade shows have been great. Anytime I can get the product in person and sell it to retail shop owners and they see the product, the packaging, what it does, they're convinced. It comes with this little pamphlet inside. And so as I like to say, the point of peak happiness is right after your expectations have been exceeded slightly. And so when you open this thing and you see, oh, it does not just 1, 2, 3 things, it does, a number of different things. It does kind of give you that extra level of, satisfaction. I like this thing. So
That's awesome. Yeah. It seemed like it would do well in the promotional products arena too.
absolutely, we hear that all the time. I'm in discussions with promotional printing products, the distributors and printing companies to print logos on this thing. We kind of had to scale up. The promotional industry is by nature, it's a high volume industry, so that means the costs are really low. If you think about it, retail, you sell one at a time, so you've got individual packaging and stuff like that. Promotional industry, most of the time they're selling at least 25, 50, 100 thousands at a time even. So their cost targets are a lot lower. So we did have to scale up to be able to meet their needs in terms of pricing. And so I think we're almost there, and that's going to be something we look to do in 2024. Because if you think about it, it's great real estate for any business to put their logo, someone's most frequented spots, their bedside, their desk, their countertop in their kitchen, their car, and the logo is actually visible most of the time on the product as well, unlike a lot of other products that have logos on them too.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's beautiful. Yeah, because I've been in that industry, so that's why I say. But yeah, that's awesome. So
the challenge is printing. So if anybody knows a good silicone rubber pad printer in the U.S., reach out to me.
Yeah, for sure. Has that been an issue at all? Like what's going on with with China and all this different stuff? Is that affected your business?
Absolutely. In 2021, I had to airship my first shipment of product in. And I don't know if you recall, but at the time in late 2021, there was a backup of ships at US ports. And it was, so I couldn't really even ship it in. And so air shipping costs had skyrocketed at the time. So I ended up paying more in air shipping to get most of my first batch of inventory in than I paid per unit for the product. And so that kind of hindered and slowed our growth. If we had been able to, by a factor of 10, decrease the shipping cost via sea shipping, which we easily could have in normal times, that would have been a lot better for us. And so then, of course, the depressed market, I would say the last year plus has affected our growth in sales because it's a gift and a non-essential. It certainly helps, especially people who have tight and limited space around their charging areas or desk or nightstand. It definitely helps with that in terms of a necessity. But I think it definitely would be better if there was the economy was a little better, undoubtedly.
For sure. That's awesome. So what I saw this thing like the Build Something initiative, is that correct? What is that?
Yeah, it's kind of like my company mission, I would say. So initially we started and we are still donating a percentage of our proceeds to organizations that help people like myself who went through alcohol rehab and recovery period. And so there's a 501c3 here in Naples, Florida called St. Matthew's House. And so last year we donated to them, and I think this year we will as well. And they provide housing for people who are homeless and coming through, substance abuse programs, and they provide programs as well. So it's not just housing; they have to, go to meetings and get a job, and helps people get back on their feet. So those sort of causes are ones that help me, and so at CordBrick we just want to help build something and donate to. Hopefully, eventually enough to build a structure itself that can be managed and help people that kind of come through in the early stages of the recovery process. Additionally, I really enjoy sharing a lot of the tidbits of knowledge that I have gained so far. And so I've been involved with the local college here, FGCU, and their entrepreneurship school. And through that have been inspired to create sort of a mission where essentially, if you're an entrepreneur, reach out to me and I will give you free mentoring. Or if I'm not the right person, I will direct you towards the right mentor. And the amount of time and whatnot can vary based on your experience and what you need and whatnot. But happy to chat with any entrepreneur to inspire them to go and create something, because I think especially now, there's going to be so many more entrepreneurs created with productivity costs going down with AI tools and rapid prototyping and things like you see behind me, like a 3D printer, that, we really do want to get everyone's ideas out there as fast as possible to get the best ideas shared with everyone, and, decrease any economic barrier to entry for anyone that may not have access to as much capital as some other people, because capital, of course, as I mentioned earlier in our conversation, is such a huge limiting factor for people even being able to begin to pursue their ideas. So I hope that Build Something can, make it a little bit easier for people to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's awesome that you're doing that for like young entrepreneurs too. That's beautiful, because mentors and even especially when they're young, like finding out that that's possible to have have a mentor that you could look up to and that could give you, that could fast track you and stuff like that, or set you down the right path to other mentors and things like that. That's so valuable, and it can actually lift someone's spirits, knowing that that's available and they're not just out there by themselves with this, idea or whatever,
Yeah, and sorry
ahead.
to interrupt. The most difficult part is, as an entrepreneur, is the loneliness you experience in you being the only one that knows everything and the challenges that you're experiencing. Because I just heard Mark Andreessen on a podcast, and he explained, like, you can't go tell everyone how difficult and how many no's you're getting as an entrepreneur, because they'll just think like you suck and you aren't doing a good job. You have to kind of paint a positive picture. You just don't have a choice, because investors will lose faith. You just can't be a Debbie Downer, and they just don't like it. So, and you have to kind of internalize some of that stuff. So it's great to talk to other people. I mean, for me, for example, I just talked to my mentor this morning. I brought him a very important question. We hadn't talked in a couple of weeks. And I met him through the organization SCORE, which is a great place to also find mentors, free organization that will provide free advice to just about any startup. It's in most cities, as far as I know, or many cities anyways. I had plenty of other mentors too. So this is just me kind of returning the favor, that people have given me in the past, giving me free advice. That is the most exciting thing, I think, about the beginning of my startup journey. Was it just showed me how many people were willing to give me time and free advice and pointers and contacts when I didn't have anything and couldn't pay them anything. I just begged, basically. I didn't have to beg very much. I mean, they did, offered it up. People, when they knew what I was doing and what I was trying to do, they said, all right, let me help you. How about I tell you, connect with this person or whatever. So I just love to give that back. And honestly, it's a selfish thing. It'll feel great for me to see other people succeed. So I hope that we can do it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So that being said, like if someone like has an idea, just for like some kind of a product, or like, hey, why doesn't this exist? And it's how would they start? Like what are some like this? Just a couple of suggestions of how they would get started.
Yeah, I mean, the key to doing anything is to do just that. Is to start, right? So how do you start? You just take the first step, and it might not always be the right step, but you just have to start moving forward. The idea is just in your head, but you got to do something about it. You actually have to make it happen. Maybe you're limited by your knowledge, your skills, your ignorance in the industry, your bankroll, your geographic location. What do you need to solve your problem? Just start solving it one step at a time. And then eventually you'll start making better decisions as you go along, because you'll know, hey, the first time I tried to do this, this is what happened. Oh, I wasted my time with that. Oh, I didn't need to do that. Maybe I could have done this instead. And then you'll just learn better. A very wise old friend of mine, another, I don't know if he's a mentor, but someone that I had bounced a couple ideas off of in the past, professor at a university, does business operations and teaches business operations. And he said, the first time you do anything, it's going to be the hardest. And it's like, that's so obvious. But every time I did every little thing at my business, it took me maybe 10 times as long, maybe 100 times as long as it took the second time I did that same thing. So if you think about that, if everything gets cut by a factor of 10 or 100 the second time, what do you think happens the third time and the fourth time? And then you set up a whole new system for the way of doing all those things. And it actually ends up, you take 1,000 times less time after you've, messed up so many different times and went through the process so many different times of, how long it took you. So the earlier you start, the sooner you will start seeing rewards. That is just a fact. And you will, start putting in your 10,000 hours, because if when you are on that 10,000 hour journey, which I've probably started approaching 10,000 hours here, now that I think about it, maybe a little past there, you'll do a bunch of things that end up wasting your time, and they seem totally pointless, and you never use them. But then you'll do a bunch of things that at the time seemed completely pointless, and they end up being extremely valuable later on. So you just don't know what those things are going to be. Sometimes you tinker in one direction and it just tails off, and you never end up going down that path again. And then sometimes you tinker with something, and then a year or two later, you'd be like, oh, I'm so glad that I messed around with this. It didn't pay off at the time, but later on, here we are, and that knowledge and that time, 2-3 years later, has finally paid off. And magical things happen, unexpected things happen. I think when you start and do things and are genuinely trying and putting your best foot forward each step of the way, not least because you intend to do that. And I think people start, over time, people reach their intentions, whatever those are, good or bad, internally motivated. If you think badly about yourself, you'll subconsciously point yourself in a bad, negative direction of your life. That certainly was the case for me. And now I'm working towards self-confidence and doing the right thing. And it seems to be that my life and other things that are happening to me are slowly just getting better and better and better day after day.
That's awesome. Yeah. I like this to say, like, this being, patient, persistent, and consistent with your efforts, as long as the efforts are in the right direction, right? Those are some valuable insights that you just shared, especially about like this, how things become easier the more that you do them, and, the more proficient and everything with lifting. Because I come from a fitness background in business and even competitively and stuff. And we call that like time under the bar, like just doing the reps, like how do you get better at squatting, by squatting, just, doing more reps. And same thing with business, like you get better at these marketing by doing more marketing, you could read books, you could do whatever, get advice, but getting in the trenches and seeing what actually works and what doesn't, and testing things, and all of the, mind-numbing stuff that not everybody is willing to do, but you do because you have a vision for your business, as you were saying earlier, and that's worth more than anything else. All the sacrifices. That's beautiful. I appreciate you sharing all of this info with us. How can people, stay in contact or find out more about you? Like, where's the best place? Social media, websites?
Yeah, any of the social medias, search for CordBrick or at CordBrick, CordBrick, just like it sounds, cord and brick, one word. And you can go to cordbrick.com. You can find us, of course, on our Amazon listing. If you want to reach out to us, there's a contact form on our website, cordbrick.com, or through any of the social media channels, send us a message there as well.
Awesome. And we'll be sure to include all your information in the show notes, below the videos and below the podcast, audio and all that kind of stuff. Right on. Well, thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciated the time here.
All right. Awesome. Have a beautiful day.
See ya.